Good evening everybody, my name's Mr Josic and I'm Head of Maths here at St Peter's. I'm here to talk a little bit about the GCSE in mathematics that our young people are studying in Year 10 and then moving on into Year 11. So as I'm sure you're aware by now, GCSE mathematics is split into two tiers, the foundation tier and the higher tier. The foundation covers grades 1 to 5. This does mean that students sitting these papers are capped at a grade 5. However, the higher tier starts at a grade 4, so as you can see, if they don't get into that grade 4, they run the risk of not having a GCSE in mathematics. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So just a quick intro into how the new grades translate into old money. So the old lettering system, we're aware that a C was considered to be the good pass, the pass that everybody wanted to get. Well, this is now the grade 4, and we use the language standard pass, with grade 5 sitting somewhere between the old B and C grades at a strong pass. And what we can see is that if you are doing the foundation tier, you go up to the grade 5. However, on the higher tier, this begins at the grade 4. So there is an overlapping content between the two courses. So the examinations, whether a student is sitting higher or foundation, this process is exactly the same. It's 100% examination. They are sat at the same time as one another. Paper 1 is an hour and a half, non-calculator, and paper 2 and 3 are both hour and a half as well, and calculator papers. They are all equally weighted out of 80, giving a student a score out of 240 at the end of the papers. So where are we at the moment? Well, we study GCSE maths through the Edexcel exam boards. Our students began GCSE in Year 9, so have already covered a lot of the content. There are 8 classes split across 2 bands and into 4 sets. And as I've already mentioned, the 2 tiers of entry. So, as I was explaining before, there is a crossover between the foundation and the higher tiers. This means that a grade 4 on the higher tier is exactly the same as a grade 4 on the foundation tier. But what it does mean is that the last 5 questions of the foundation paper is the same as the first 5 questions, give or take, every year it changes, but on the higher tier paper. This allows us and the exam board to do a direct comparison of the grade 4 and 5 from both tiers to ensure consistency and fairness when awarding the grades. We use this content to inform what tier of entry would be the most suitable for our students, and students will only be considered for the higher tier if they've built a strong foundation across the foundation topics and can reliably and consistently achieve 60% or plus on crossover content. So that leads into the question, which tier is best? Well, as I've mentioned, the grade 4 and 5 are the same on both tiers. So it shouldn't matter if a student is aiming for a grade 4 or a grade 5, it shouldn't matter which tier they do. However, as I will explain later, the easiest pathway to a grade 5 is through the foundation tier exam. What I would ask is please support us to make the correct decision for your child. We will use our experience, the data that we've seen, to make sure that they are on the right tier for them, and if a tier change needs to happen, we will inform you and keep you in those discussions. We want as many students as possible here at St Peter's to do the higher tier, but only if it's right for them, as we wouldn't want anybody to fail to get a GCSE because we're pushing them onto the paper that they are not ready for. So when a decision's finalised? Well, no decision will be set in stone until the January of Year 11 after analysing the end of year papers in Year 10 and the mocks in Year 11. And we use these to say, well, if a student is comfortably tracking at a grade 5 or above, then higher tier will definitely be the best pathway for them. However, if we're thinking they're tracking at a 4 or not secure in that 5, then the foundation is the more suitable tier for them. Now, we will have started talking to our students about crossover and higher tier, but however, in year 10 we are mainly focusing on our crossover content. So at this moment in time, every student will be covering crossover content on our GCSE, with at the end of year 10 our higher tier candidates beginning to look at the higher tier only topics, and then others beginning that slightly later in the process, but at a pace that is suitable for them. So as I said, I just wanted to explain why if we're looking at a grade 5, why the foundation tier is potentially a better option. So a grade 4 is awarded, this was in 2018, and the grade 4 was awarded for scoring 94% of the marks aimed at the topics that were seen as grade 1 to 3. However, on the higher tier, they needed 100% of the grade 4 marks and 25% of the grade 5 marks. So they needed less marks, but in more difficult content on the higher tier than on the foundation tier. So it's a slightly easier process on the foundation to be able to get those grade 4 and 5s, hence why we look for a solid and consistent grade 5 before suggesting the higher tier is the correct tier for them. So I thought at this point I'd give everybody a little test. Just joking. Doesn't work as well over Loom. I just wanted to show people the style of GCSE questions. So this is a typical angles question at a grade 4. Now what I've done here is shown you that this was question 23 off a foundation paper and question 3 on a higher tier, kind of exemplifying that idea that this question was on both tiers, however being at the end of the foundation paper and the beginning of the higher tier paper. I'm sure most of you remember maths teachers saying you must show your workings. It's really important that we see your workings down. Now these don't have to be written reams of English communication. We're actually looking more for their mathematical notation, their mathematical ideas and their logic being shown clearly. So in this question is a great example of you must show your workings. In this question, if a student was to write the correct answer with no workings here whatsoever, the examiner will award 0 marks. The answer or accuracy mark, as it's called, can only be awarded in these questions with the workings clearly shown. So therefore, we really try and stress the idea to our students that they have to show their workings. They need to be clear with what they're doing, and this could be annotating the diagram with bits of information they know and reasons why they have said what they've said. But we talk a lot about trying to tease out this idea of showing your workings, and you must practice every question in class as if you were doing it in the real thing. And again, just another example of a question that appeared towards the end of a foundation paper but the start of a higher tier paper. And again, this idea of, is she right? A student that simply writes yes or no, it's a flip of a coin, it's a multiple choice. That's not the idea of this question, and they would score no marks even if they've got it right. And this can be a difficult concept for students and sometimes adults to accept, but I've answered the question. However, the examiner will be looking for you, but how did you get there? Was it a guess, or have you actually worked that out? So we would expect, even on a calculator test, them to be writing down what they wrote on their calculator screen. So, the national requirements to pass English and Maths is a grade 4 or above, as I've already mentioned. So for future ambitions at St Peter's and at many sixth forms around, we ask for a grade 7 to be able to study A-level Maths, and a grade 8 at GCSE to study further maths because of the complexity of the course and the reliance on the previous knowledge being there. However, numerous college courses and A-level subjects actually require students to get a grade 6 in mathematics. For example, most of the sciences, because of the reliance on mathematics in those courses. So what I stress to a student is, even if they aren't considering A-level maths, is really to have a look at what is it they are thinking about post-16 or after their GCSEs. And do they know what grade in maths they need to get on there? And it's worth just having a little look at those things now so that the student is motivated towards those end goals. So reaching their full potential. At the end of each topic we do a topic test and we keep track of those. But at the bottom of them we give them exactly what topics were assessed, what videos they can watch on Hegarty Maths, and then a space to write notes from those videos in their own time as part of their revision. And that would be fantastic if they were supported at home with that, having a look through the topic test and sharing those ideas. I'm a big believer that mistakes are a massive part of the learning process, and I fully embrace mistakes. I feel that mathematically we make mistakes all the time, and that's how we learn. So therefore sharing, okay, I'm not so strong on this, but how do I move forward, is vital for seeing our students reach their full potential. So using these topic tests would be a really good place to start with their revision, as it's tailored to them. Home learning is set every week through our Hegarty Maths platform, which is a fantastic platform which allows students to watch videos. We encourage them to make notes on these videos in their green books, making their own revision guides, and then do the quiz. Once they've done enough of these quizzes, they can actually use a revise button on there that picks out 5 of their weaker subjects to focus on and gives them videos and prompts on how to help them with those, but also ones that they haven't seen maybe since the start of year 9, to just practice those skills and have a look through. I would encourage you to sit down with your young person and get them to show you Hegarty Maths and just look at them together. I've included on here a couple of websites as well which are fantastic for GCSE content. We've got Maths Genie, which breaks down topics into different grades, gives you videos, exam style questions and solutions. And Corbett Maths is a personal favourite of mine, again with lots of videos and past paper questions for a student to get their teeth into. Also, equipment is massive, and a good scientific calculator is vital. There are lots of scientific calculators available. I've put a picture of 2 of them on here. The Aurora one is sold in the library, so students can go and ask in the library how much they are. I believe they're around about the £5 or £5.50 mark. Or the Casio calculator that I've pictured here, which is available nearly everywhere. I would encourage our students to have one of these 2 models, as the way that it shows the formulae that they're typing in is a lot easier to use than some of the older calculators, or some of the cheaper ones that are programmed in an older style. They are absolutely fine, and we encourage our students to bring in their calculator so we can get them used to using it. But really these 2 are some of the best on the market and easiest to use for our students. So how can you help your child succeed? Encourage resilience. Problem solving takes a long time to embed and can be really frustrating. It can be really hard to come up and keep going with problems, and as I've said before, mistakes are a vital part of learning, and confidence is so vital for mathematics. But it's building that resilience to go, okay, I made a mistake, but let's have another go. Let's go and ask my teacher. Let's watch a video. Really encouraging that idea of, okay, you don't understand it at the minute, but you can. you don't understand it yet. There's ways in which we can help with this. I'm really discouraging this myth of some people are just good at maths and some people don't get it. That's simply not true. We can work with people, we can look through resilience of trying questions and getting people used to, and our students used to, that idea of failing but building on that. And it's a very difficult idea for some of our young people to get their head around. So please encourage that and say that's fine. Build them up again. You made a mistake? That's fine. And with that, be present when they're completing their home learning. Take an interest in what they're doing. Ask questions. If you're not so confident on the content yourself, then sit down with them and watch the video. Go through it together. Struggle together. Succeed together. I think that's a really vital thing, that our young people don't just think that everybody's an expert at something, or nobody can do this. If we sit down together and encourage each other and look through, and if you're struggling, by all means say, have you contacted your teacher either in person or through Teams? And finally, quiz them on formulae. Looking at the formula sheets, key words, key facts, would be a fantastic use of some time. So that's really all from me. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to drop me an email, and I look forward to hopefully meeting more people in person very soon. Thank you.